Alright. Do not take this video as an endorsement of chess.com. Chess forever. Chess is great, but Chess does not want you to have extra accounts, nor does chess.com. But chess.com is a horrible monopoly on chess. Aside, Chess is one freedom from said monopoly. And yeah, so I don't care what chess.com wants, and I do care what Chess wants. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be playing a blindfold chess game because I think it'll be fun. I made a blindfold account. I messed around a little. I could be better at this. I could be a lot worse. I think it'll be fun. We're not playing a very high-rated opponent, but that's okay. All right, we're going to be black. They played d4. I'm going to play knight f6. I haven't played d4 against d4 in blindfold. All right, so this is a London system. They're going to play knight f3, e3, c3 in some order. The order doesn't matter so much. We're just going to play a very stable line against it, where I play bishop d6 to counter their bishop. Let's play c5 first. Put a little pressure on their center. They'll probably play c3. All London system players have memorized their like one pattern of development, which is there are ways to vary it up. The London system is a nice way for beginners to learn to play. They do play c3. We'll play bishop d6, just countering their bishop. We're trying to play queen d6. Usually players play bishop g3 at higher levels. I'm not sure we'll see that at lower levels. Leaving the bishop there, I think, is actually a pretty good and underrated option that stronger players learn not to do and weaker players don't, but actually weaker players often have the better thing there. All right, we recapture. This way I don't actually have to show how the system works because they're not really supposed to take, but that's okay. We now have a choice between knight c6 and knight d7. Our bishop will likely come out to b7. We'll play b6. All right, they play bishop b5 check. I think any block is fine here, but we probably do want to trade our light squared bishop. Given our central pawns are all on light squares and our bishop is blocked in, seems like their bishop should be better than ours, and we should be quite happy to trade it. We'll keep developing. And we're looking to castle and maybe play e5. All the bishops have been traded. They have a knight on f3. They have not yet developed their b1 knight. So we'll probably see that come to d2 now. But maybe we'll see a queen or rook move. Probably knight d2 though. We see knight d2. And I can consider playing e5, and I think I'm going to. This tends to be just like an equal or very slightly better for black position after these exchanges. That's a little dull, but it also should be kind of easy for me to keep in my head because we're simplifying the position and there's just less to keep track of. Um, this line for black against the London is not trying to blow the London out. It's just trying to be slightly better. Usually players play knight f3 now, hitting my queen, and I have a choice between shuttling the queen over to the king side or just repeating retreating and staying on the e file. Usually queen e7 or sometimes queen e6 is the best move. Okay, they play queen b3. That's going to hit b7. So we should probably just play b6 and make sure that's safe. I think we'll do that. If we already had a rook brought to the e or d file, I might play like rook d7 or rook e7 and prepare to double rooks on one of the files. Okay, let's do rook a d8. The pawn does not need further defense. Our queen and knight defend it, but our queen might be driven away, and I'm happy to start centralizing our rooks. If they play queen a4, hitting a7, all right, they hit our queen, and we have to make a choice around where to go. Usually e7 is correct. I'm just going to go for the standard square here. Sometimes against lower rated players, I swing to the king side and try to be ambitious about potential attacks there. But we're going to play this, I think, basically properly. They've played a very reasonable game so far, but this is not a line I like to play if I'm trying to win quickly. They're going to double rooks against our d-pawn. Very reasonable thing. I think we'll double rooks in response. And they'll probably try to play c4 at some point. I'd like to play h6 at some point just to create luck for the king. Our pawn structure is h7, g7, f7, d5, c5, b6, a7. Theirs is pawns on starting squares except e3 and c3. This means we have a little more space. Okay, they play a3. That's not a very useful move. We'll make the slightly more useful move h6, but also wait to try to do anything. We can't really move our knight away because d5 would hang, so it can be a difficult position to try to find ways to improve. Maybe we'll play queen e6, queen g4, start hinting at something over there. They don't really have any threats in the position. Okay, they moved. They moved knight h4. Okay, that threatens knight f5, forking rook and queen, so we'll just play queen e6 as planned, covering f5, but also defending d5 a little more. If we move the queen away and they play e4 or c4, specifically c4, then the pawn is pinned to the rook. We can still take because their queen would be hit, but, they would get two rooks. f4. All right, this greatly weakens the e3 pawn. Oh, I've been an idiot. When did this first become available? Um, Ever since they played rook d3, their queen's on b3, their rook's on d3. Yeah, what a fool I am. We have c4, forking queen and rook. Yeah, this has been in the air for a while, and I've missed it. I've been pretty good at seeing these like short-term awkward tactics, but in these blindfold games, but completely missed it here for like 5 moves. It's just moronic. Ooh, embarrassing. All right, they play f5. That hits my queen, so I do have to save it. I don't want to take their queen and let them take ours. We're winning a full rook here. Let's move a queen to a square it can't be attacked this turn. Queen e7. We could play queen e5, but then they'd play knight f3, and we'd have to run the queen away. I'd rather leave their knight on the edge of the board. I think that's a pretty dumb square right now. I shouldn't say dumb, but like a pretty silly square for the knight to be on. I don't think it's doing much. And just clean up the rook. A mistake I see a lot of new players make is trying to do in between moves, and they often forget about something that's hanging. Um, so, like f5 here, there's no reason not to try it. You're going to lose enough material. The game is lost either way. But yeah. All right, queen b4, take the rook. And now our rook is pinned to our queen, so I would kind of like to sidestep with the queen. The move I'm thinking about is queen e4, just simplifying, because our rook's defended by the other rook on d8, so they can't take that. And queen e4 hits their queen, it hits their rook, it hits their knight. And if they play rook d4, which defends the knight and stops us trading queens, because now we're up a rook, we want to trade queens, we want to simplify, then they lose the e3 pawn. All right, they took. I'm going to take back pawn. That forces their rook off, but just as importantly, their knight is now trapped in the edge of the board. They play h3. We don't have g5 trapping their knight or anything because they can take en passant, but we can now invade with our rook. I'd rather invade to d2 to d3. If we go to d3, I guess they have to play king f2, and then we have rook d2 with check. Actually, maybe that is better. Okay, we'll start with rook d3. Nah, rook d2 is probably still better just because I want to go grab b2. That's a little more important to me than grabbing e3. But this way was kind of sneaky. And finding in-between moves and sneaky stuff like that in Blindfold, I always find very impressive, so I'm pleased with myself. g4, good move. They can now play knight g2 and get their knight into the game. But can they really? It's defended by our rook. I'm just going to activate our knight, go to d5. We're threatening e3 again. We're threatening c3. The London pawns are falling apart. Is this video at all interesting to watch? I have no idea. We can just take that. This is probably just me showing off, but, I did blunder a bunch. Like, I missed c4 coming. It's going to say a bunch of missed moves or blunders or mistakes. I don't really care about the chess.com analysis. It is terrible. The best game I played Blindfold, I played one really good game Blindfold where I just spotted the stuff immediately. Gave me 3 great moves. None of them were good moves. They were all just take the hanging thing. All the good moves were the moves preceding it that set it up so I'd be able to take something free. Yeah, so this was a very bad game of mine. That's a bummer. But, it's Blindfold. All right, we're black again. Black tends to be it's much slower to win when you're playing weaker opponents. All right, what do I feel like playing today? Right, let's play the Sicilian. Okay, we're going to face the Smith-Morra Gambit. This is going to be very annoying to play against in Blindfold. No, we're not. Okay, so when the queen comes out early, it usually just loses a lot of time. And here we can attack it immediately while making a move we wanted to make anyway. I'm going to keep developing. Bishop g5. So that's kind of a weird move. We can play queen a5, forking the king and the bishop and forcing them to retreat bishop d2. And I think we will. A, they might miss it, and B, it makes their move look kind of silly, and we got to develop for free. They do play bishop d2. I guess we'll come back to c7. b6 probably gets chased a little. Maybe this is not so good. Okay. E6, g6, d6. I don't think it much matters. All the moves should be fine. I'd like to play d5 at some point. We could play knight b4 maybe at some point as well. Bishop e2. Huh. I don't think I need the bishop outside the pawn chain. So we're going to play d6, bishop e7, probably a6, b5. As soon as they play knight c3, we'll probably play a6 and just get castled. Let's say we have a very stable position. This is generally described, though the opening's different, so it wouldn't be called this way. But we have a Shenanigans pawn structure, which is pronounced many different ways. But I'm by no means particularly good in these structures. I do not play them very much, but they're very sound. Um, Story about this opening. Incidentally, this is not the Smith-Morra Gambit. I would not call it the Smith-Morra Gambit. They did not play c3. Okay. I'm not too fussed about that. They don't have pressure against d6, so I'm gonna throw in h6, try to force the action. I'm not intending to play g5 if they retreat and keep the tension. I just wanted to make this trade. Now with knight c3, they would threaten knight b5, forking c7 and d6. So I really do have to make sure to play a6 if that happens. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, so funny story about the Scheveningen defense, which is pronounced many different ways. Okay, b4. They have not played a3, so we can just take this. I don't see why we wouldn't. They're trying to play b5, a b5, knight b5, but we can just take, right? Their bishop on d2 does not defend it because they have a knight on c3. And also now it's pretty hard for them to defend c2 if I want to win it, which I maybe don't, because then rook c1 and they get a lot of pressure. And we're not actually forking anything because their king's off the square. So I think we could win c2 here, but I'm not going to. I want to keep the c file closed. That tends to be a bad file to have open up against me. And the whole point of the actual Smith-Morra Gambit, which is 3c3, not ooh, but now it does fork. Oh, and our bishop's on f6. Are we winning c3? Should I be taking c3? Because our knight moved off c6. We have a queen on c7. We have a bishop on f6. But they have a bishop on d2. So we cannot win c3. All right, so we're going to play knight c2. And this does potentially walk into... It doesn't walk into c-file problems immediately because it hits their queen and they have to worry about that first. This would be very obvious to see if you could see the board, but it does take a sec to make sure I'm visualizing the position right, especially while trying to talk. Again, I am by no means a blindfold expert. I think my rating obviously would be higher over time if I was playing a bunch of blindfold. I've played 6 games on this account. I won the first 5, and then the 6th, I tried to be cute with a checkmating pattern and tried to play a mate in 2 rather than a mate in 3, and hung my queen, which was kind of silly. All right, queen f4. This does not threaten to trade queens. We have a pawn on d6. Let's just grab the rook. We are threatening bishop c3 now, but they do have rook c1 in reply, pinning. But their queen's on f4. Do we have the in-between move bishop d2? This is tricky to calculate. We have not castled, for what it's worth. If you look at the score sheet, but also if you're visualizing the position, we have not castled. So I think I'm going to find the better thing. So my idea is bishop c3, rook c1, bishop d2, rook takes c7, bishop takes f4. My problem is they have rook c8 check. They don't, or rook defense, or back ranks defended. But I think better than this is why not just play bishop g5? We've played h6. They don't have a bishop on d2. What am I talking about? They moved it to g5 and they took on f6. I am having trouble maintaining the position. Okay, in that case, we should take on c3. They have a bishop e2, a knight on f3, a queen on f4, a rook on a1. We can take. but I want to take it the right way. I don't want to lose d6. We don't have bishop g5. They have a knight on f3. What was I talking about? All right, so queen c3. Okay, I think it's okay. Queen c3. If rook c1, we can play queen a5. They don't have rook c8 because our rook on a8 covers. We don't have a knight on b8. Yeah, they do play this. And if they take on d6, we can play queen d8 and build for like bishop e7. Maybe we can play bishop e7 immediately, but I like queen d8. Or maybe rook d8. I'm going to play queen a5. Could also keep the queen in the position. Maybe just queen b2. Yeah, because then their queen stays tied to their rook and they can't take on d6. Yeah, let's play queen b2. Let's keep the queen as a thorn in their side. My instinct is always to retreat, especially like the queen's such a valuable piece. Anything that attacks it, it has to run away. But in blindfold especially, it's so easy to lose track of things that you want them to be on standardized squares because it's just much easier to keep track. All right, we finally got castles. That's great. G3. Don't know what that's about. If we play rook c8, rook c8 kind of has to be good. We can't play rook c8. Why not? What am I blanking on? What? Oh, we're almost out of time. What's happening? All right, I'm going to play bishop e5. I have lost the position. Why don't we have a rook on c8? And why are we down so much time? All right, we're going to pre-move. All right, I'm going to clock. Oops. Terrible work. Where is our a8 rook? There's something on c8? Did we never move the c8 bishop? I have a c8 bishop. Completely forgot about it. All right, we're going to pre-move that to c6, and we're going to clock here. Just going to bring my pieces to the middle. All right, we're going to double up on the C file. All right, we're out of time. That's a bummer. All right, I totally forgot about the clock. When did we lose so much time? I thought we were doing okay on time. Oh, that's sad. All right, we were completely and utterly winning there, but, you know, what are you going to do? We play rook takes f2. Oh, dear. All right, well, that's a bummer. Okay, let's play one more. No, it was the last game I was doing well on time. Why was I so slow this one? I don't know, man. Just forgot about the time. All good. All right, that was a shame. Okay, let's play e4. Generally speaking, I think, especially in Blindfold, it helps if you make games quick, as we saw in the last one. And generally speaking, it's easier to make games quick with white. All right, perk defense. I have a couple lines I enjoy playing against the perk. They should play knight f6. They did not. Quick c6 means I am not obliged to play a quick knight c3, but I think I will anyway. Usually they play knight f6 to oblige knight c3. This way I have a little more freedom. Oh, this is a black lion player. Okay, we're going to play knight f3. Bishop c4. I'm going to play e5. e6. Okay, they just don't know what they're doing. All right, that's cool. They're trying to push d5. I guess the question is, should we push d5 ourselves? Or should we push e5, or should we leave it? If we leave it, they play d5, we play bishop d3. Ah, this is why I was taking so long, is because I'm talking it out instead of just like making a proper move. They're also sort of threatening knight e4, knight e4, d5. They could play that way as well. I'm going to play e5 myself. I think they should play knight d5, and then I'm going to play knight e4, dodging the trade and putting pressure on d6. If they take and I take, then suddenly the d file opens in a way that's usually a little favorable for white in these structures. Because I'm going to play knight e4, that looks at d6. Yes, they have the bishop to defend it, but I can play bishop g5, which often induces bishop e7, trade, and then I invade on d6. Can't believe I forgot I had a bishop on c8 last game, too. Just like a whole piece that, poof, not in my brain. All right, a6. I don't think that's doing much. I could play bishop g5 immediately, but I'm just going to castle first. Stable. Not afraid of b5, bishop b3. Don't see why I would be. Bishop e7. All right. So we can play bishop g5 if we want to. I think I do. Both our knights defend it, so it's not hanging. Because they have two attackers on it. Castles. All right, we'll take on e7 and take on d6. And our opening scheme has worked. I'll take with the knight. The knight's just very good there. The pawn wins the turn against the queen, but the knight is actually well placed for the future, and that is the more important factor. I think I would like to play bishop d3 and push the c pawn to move their knight off its good central square, so that we're the only one with a piece on a good square. All right, they attack our bishop, so that's just going to make us move ahead with our plan anyway. Our central pawns, it's really important to keep track of your kind of central construct. We have pawns on e5 and d4, a knight on d6, knight on f3, bishop on d3. We've castled, and our queen's still on d1. We have all our starting pawns. They have pawns on c6 and e6. Sorry, I don't know how to do different colors. Knight on d5, knight on b6, queen on e7, and they have castled. That last game hurts my soul. Because I've done so much playing games while talking, I just figure I'm going to be able to do it without losing a lot of time. And it's just not the case. Ooh, that feels like it weakens the dark squares around the king. So I'd really like to get knight e4 to f6 maybe, or knight d2 to e4 to f6, or knight g5 to e4. Both of our knights could end up heading for this f6 square. But their knight on d5 does defend it, so I think I want to evict that knight. If I play c4 and they play knight b4, we can just play like bishop e4 maybe. But I was thinking about starting with a3 just to make sure the knight couldn't hit the bishop. But I think we don't care so much, and the knight is not so good on b4, so I don't mind if they go there. Note our d6 knight defends the c4 pawn, so if our bishop moves off the f1 to c4 diagonal, the pawn will still be hanging. If I was good at videos, I would record a thing of just me moving the pieces on a sideboard so you could see the action, because this is probably unwatchable. Okay, they can attack the bishop that way too. The knight's a little more vulnerable there in general. Okay, probably just bishop e4. Yeah, I don't see why not. One thing I might do at some point is play. Well, I probably shouldn't, but drive the knight from f4 and then play c5, force their other knight to d5, and just take it, and get rid of d5 as an outpost for their pieces, and cement d6 as a just perfect outpost for me. There's some good games that show plans like that. Um, I can't believe I lost the last game. Ugh, disgusting. But this game we're up on the clock, so I don't have to worry too much about that. Knight on f4 is a target. So maybe queen d2 next. Hit the knight, and when the knight moves, play queen h6, knight g5, queen h7 mate, or like be thinking about plans like that. That seems like a strong way to play it. So that knight is a target. And I want to get my queen onto those dark squares to attack anyway, so queen d2 seems like a good move. Yeah, this position's just very difficult for them to play. Generally speaking, c2, c6 is not really played. And if you are going to play like this, you should push 5e5 and not let white completely take over the center. This is an opening called the Black Lion. So the main reason I'm doing this is I wanted to test how well, because I've been doing projects that involve thinking about positions without seeing the board, and I wanted to sort of test at what level can I actually do this. And I think it's fairly high, despite my not yet very impressive results. Um, and I'm also trying to do it while playing openings that are not actually the openings I play. Like on move one, I play c4. I'm an English opening player, and yeah, all right. Let's play one more. Um, chess.com analysis is terrible, by the way. So we're playing e4, which I played for most of my chess playing life. e5. All right. Knight f3. Knight c6. We're gonna play the four knights. I quite like the four knights. At some point, just before I made master, I noticed every local player was playing the four knights. This is actually a kind of annoying system. Wait a sec. They didn't play knight f6. What am I doing? Brain dead. Brain dead. All right. Well, I've just hung a piece for nothing. I had played another blindfold game where they played. Oh god. All right. Brain gone. Okay, this was a good sign to stop. Let's see how we do. Knight g6. Okay. Once we've blundered like this, we usually want to play very actively and forcefully. So bishop c4 might be the best move. I'm going to play f4. I'm going to just try to say I have a huge center and this was an intentional piece sacrifice. d5 is a good move. I think I should play. I kind of have to play e5. Yeah. Now they can play like bishop f5, stop f5 from pushing. I wanted to start with f5, but then if they move their knight and I play e5, they have bishop takes f5. Okay, f6. That's well. Our knight's well supported though. Let's play bishop d3 or pawn. And if they take, maybe we can start hinting at queen h5. If they take, we probably have to take back. Yeah, both ways suck. Because if we take back f pawn and they castle kingside, we can't castle. And if they take, we take back d pawn, they can play bishop c5. No, they can't because their bishop's traded. It's so easy to forget what pieces are not on the board. All right, we're gonna play queen h5. We're just gonna go for it. We're threatening the f5 pawn, but also they can't really dislodge our queen so easily. This was a terrible move. They had queen h4. Um, yeah, queen h4. Forcing queens off. Terrible. Okay. Probably bishop a3, threatening bishop e7 in some world, maybe. Let's just get castled. Bishop e6. Okay, I'm gonna play a4 before bishop a3, just to make sure it's better protected when we do play it. I'm not sure this is necessary, but I don't think there's gonna be a quick way to break through, so we're gonna be in it for the long haul. And we are super lost because I am a moron. I thought they'd play knight f6, not knight c6. Great work by me. Yeah, this is what happens. Like, I play good, I'm spotting a bunch of stuff. I maybe don't notice something for a few turns, but, okay. f5 is sadly still defended. Let's play queen h3, sidestepping any discoveries, but also keeping pressure on f5. Maybe we can win someday. Still want to play bishop a3. I think that's good pressure. All right, they just come back. Let's get bishop a3 in while we can. There's no discovery. They can't move the f-pawn. Maybe we'll go back to queen h5, see if they want to draw. Oh dear. What are other useful moves we can make? Rook b1. Maybe some kind of rook lift. If we can get queen f5, rook f3, rook h3. Okay, that hits a4, but we don't care if they take because we'll have bishop e7 with a discovered attack. Does hinder our rook lifts idea because then a1 would be undefended. Bishop b5 doesn't do anything. I don't think c4 is useful. All right, let's go back and see what they want to do. Castle's queenside. Okay, I guess we gotta then say fair enough. The game's queenside, and just try to bring our pieces there. No, that hangs the. All right, that hangs the f4 pawn. So let's make sure that's defended, and then play rooks to the b file and try to beat them there. What? Hey, we're back in it, baby. I did say they couldn't take on a4 because we have this discovered attack on their queen. Yeah, they had to retreat. We can take the rook on d8. Trying to think if we want our bishop, but I don't think we do. Oh, it shouldn't circle when there's a capture. It shouldn't tell you there's a capture. So now we have rook a7. Again, it shouldn't tell us there's a capture. Blindfold, we shouldn't know. Maybe I can turn off. It's just telling me all the legal moves I can make with the piece, and it shows that differently. Maybe I can turn that off. Let's play rook a7. Their king's on c8. We're threatening rook a8 and uh, where's our rook? Our rook's f1. I tried to grab the rook on b1 because I thought we'd played rook fb1, but we had not. And now we're threatening rook a8 mate as well as taking the queen. So I think we've won the queen. All right. Well, this was a horrible, horrible game, but hopefully we've come through. Where are their pieces? They have bishop on e6, knight on e7, knight on g6, rook on h8. That's not h8. Queen on d8. Pawns are on d5, f5. They're missing an a7 and an e pawn. Well, that's where I think their pieces are. Why would she show this? I just clicked on the f4 pawn because there's nothing they can't move. Weird. Hopefully they give me mate in one because otherwise this game may get difficult for me to retain. I said they had knight on e7. They don't. We took it. See, already failing retention. While talking, like normally I'd like it's easier for me to visualize with my eyes closed, see the board in my head. And while talking and looking at this board, I keep it open, and it's actually like harder for me to see on this board than it is in my head. That's an interesting thing to know about oneself. Where'd they go? C6? All right. Rook a8 skewers their queen. It's possible we had some way to keep them from running out, but I think that's very unlikely because we don't have a dark squared bishop anymore. Yes, we can. Okay. I'd really like to get my queen into the attack. I guess the best way, queen d3 doesn't really have an entry square. So I'm going to go queen d1. Should I give them the f4 pawn? Probably not. Probably just defend it. I should also be playing faster. What pieces do we have left? We have a rook on a1, a queen on f3, bishop on d3. So I couldn't play queen d3, right? There's a bishop there. All right, we should have a bishop on d3. What did they just play? h6? I'm looking back at the scoreboard sheet. I'm forgetting things. I have lost track. Bishop on d3. We traded our a3 bishop. We lost our knight for nothing. They took a knight on c3. Okay, let's play queen d1, b1. I think we just have the queen, the bishop, and the rook. And they have a rook on d8, a bishop, and a knight. All right, I should be able to keep track of that. The less the position makes sense, the easier it is to lose track of stuff. Um, so it's like easier if the game stays an opening book longer. All right, knight e7, sure. Where's my queen? Let's play queen b1. Maybe queen b4 next. bishop c8, queen b4. We do have a pawn on e5. So if their rook moved, we'd have queen d6. So hopefully their rook moves. Their current configuration is here, 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 with the king here. All right, knight back to g6. Okay. Maybe rook a8, pitting the bishop to the king. Oh, we got to go fast. I'm going to be too slow here. We're pitting the bishop to the rook. All right, rook d7. Okay, let's go queen a5. Queen a7. Queen b6. Check. Take on c8. Pre-move rook e8 check, so we clock him. Hey, oh, this is fun. The games are so bad, but this is fun. All right, I said that was gonna be the last one. I want to hit 1,000. We can make it to 1,000. All right, we got white again. All right, e4, e5, knight of 3. All right, this time I'm gonna play the 4 knights, but I'm not gonna hang a piece with knight e5. There's a line, the Halloween Gambit, that sort of does that and tries to play similarly to what we did. Bishop d6. Okay, this is a somewhat obscure move. We're going to play bishop b5. They usually should play it after bishop b5, so I'm sort of helping them, but we're going to play this fun line with g4. If they take, we have rook g1, and we try to win the g7 pawn, and we have some play. Here, I feel like we kind of get semblance of an attack for nothing. Okay, knight g4, but that knight has no retreats. Can we play h3? Maybe rook g1 is more precise, because rook g1 is more useful. Yeah. No, rook g1, they have knight f2, king f2, bishop c5 check. Yeah, so I should do it with h3. I think the knight's trapped. I can pre-move king f2. Yeah, now if bishop c5, we can just move the king. g5 is defended. I can even pre-move this. f6. I'm going to throw in a check. And then maybe h4. Now let's play d3. Make sure g5 is well defended. I could take knight. Let's take bishop. It's a little scary because if we move the f3 knight, they might have rook f2. So I'd like to play. Yeah, this is gonna be scary. Let's play rook f1. Freeing our knight a little. They haven't played d6 yet, but it's easy to imagine like queen h5 and d6 and then winning on h3. All right, h6, that I don't mind. I'll come back to h4. King h7. Maybe knight d5? Threaten knight takes c7, but also maybe, yeah, just knight c7. But also I was thinking, okay. Guess I sidestep. But also I wanted to prepare c3 so they never have knight d4. Trading off a defensive piece I think is useful. Yeah, they play knight d4. Okay. This takes. Move the bishop. They don't have mates on g1. My rook defends. Rook f1, queen f1. Maybe we should just take on f8. Okay, that's a weird move. Is f8 just hanging? They still never played d6, did they? Take f8. f8 should be hanging. Our queen defends g1, not that they have it anyway. Yeah, let's take back with the bishop. That's important because now we threaten bishop g8, king h8, bishop f7, and we win the queen. God, I did. My brain's going. It's getting worse and worse. A6, bishop g8. All right. Now it's not a problem. They still never played d6. So g4 is not defended? Let's do queen g1 just in case it is. Yeah, all right. King h7, I was going to play rook f7. And I'm not sure they can stop queen g7 mate. God, I've lost the position, though. I don't have an easy way to bring up the board again. So, yeah, we'll just stop there. All right, one mistake. What was my mistake? Let's find out. Where's my horrible blunders? They don't actually want the game analysis. The game analysis is trash. Miss. So I miss. Oh, Edward takes f8 to move earlier. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. God, this is so bad. Right? So, like, rook f8 did win the queen a few moves later, and the computer sees it's going to win the queen. But, like, rook takes f8 is a free rook. It's taking a rook. It happens to have this follow up that's powerful, but the reason it's good, it's such a God, the programming's so bad. All right, we'll stop there.